I'm going to tell you about one of the largest and longest established river cruising companies in the world. I'm Gary Bembridge of Tips for Travellers. I'm going to talk about Crossy Europe, probably the biggest secret in river cruising. Crossy Europe is a family-run company. It was founded over 42 years ago and has been pioneering and sailing the rivers around the world since then. Although they've been working with tour companies and agents in places like the UK and the USA for over 15 years, they still are not that well known amongst travellers in those countries. And I think that needs to change. So I'm going to tell you 5 things that I think make them unique and different in river cruising. First of all, Crossy Europe offer an enormous choice of cruising options. They sail in pretty much all of the main rivers that you would expect in Europe, including the Rhine, the Danube, the Rhone, the Seine and the Douro. But they also cruise on smaller and less busy ones, including the Loire, the Elbe, the Dordogne, the Garonne, and Spain's Guadiana and Guadalquivir. In Russia, they're on the Volga, in Asia, the Mekong, and in South Africa, Kariba Lake and the Chobe River. There's also a wide range of different cruise ship types. So they have the classic river cruising ship, both standard and premium ships, and they handle up to about 150 passengers. You then have the smaller and very unique paddle wheel ships that sail on the Loire and the Elbe, and they handle up to about 100 passengers. They also have barges in France carrying 22 guests. You have the 3-tier ships that go on the Mekong, which have about 60 passengers, the very small Africa Safari ship, which holds 16 passengers. And then there's even a 200-passenger boutique cruise ship that cruises along the Adriatic and the Mediterranean coasts. Another feature is a whole range of different cruise experience and themed cruises. So for example, some of these include themed cruises around big events, so such as the Venice Carnival. They have family cruises during the summer holidays. There's bike and boat cruises, there's hiking cruises. There's also a series of gourmet and wine cruises, the seasonal Christmas markets and New Year's Eve celebration cruises. And they're constantly innovating and bringing on board new style ships and new rivers and new destinations. Now, the second thing that's very important about Crossy Europe, in my view, is they offer incredible value for money. So if you've wanted to go river cruising, but you're concerned about the price of river cruising, I strongly recommend you take a look at Crossy Europe. Their fares are largely all-inclusive. So the fare you pay will include all your accommodation. It will include 3 meals a day. You'll also get house and non-premium wine and beer and spirits, and also soft drinks served at your meal, but also at the bar throughout the day and into the evening. There's 24-hour tea and coffee making available, onboard Wi-Fi, and gratuities are completely voluntary. They're not included in the fare and they're not auto-added. They also sell cruise-only fares, so that means that you can then, by yourself or working with your agent, find the most cost-effective or efficient way of getting to and from the ship. When it comes to excursions, if you book your cruise in the United States of America, the fare is designed to include all excursions. If you book in other countries such as the UK, excursions are optional, so they're not built into the fare, and it gives you the opportunity of either buying a package of excursions or choosing to buy individual ones once you're on board, or of course just self-touring. The other thing they're doing to try and improve value, particularly for solo travelers, is to put single cabins into their boats. So as they upgrade ships and they add new ships, they try to include some solo cabins. Now, many of the well-known cruise lines largely advertise to and attract English-speaking passengers. So the onboard experience and the whole cruising experience is very much centered around that. The great thing about Crossy Europe is it is much more international. So on board, you're going to find lots of different people from lots of different countries. The onboard experience is designed to cater for a multilingual, multicultural passenger. So you'll find onboard everything's done in multiple languages. You'll find excursions are run based on the language groupings on board. Personally, I found the Crossy Europe river cruising experience really quite refreshing because it was a very international feel to it. Got to meet lots of people from lots of different countries. Because this is a French-owned company and its roots are in France, the food reflects this. So there's a real passion in all of the food to bring out the Frenchness and the French heritage and expertise in food. Now on board, breakfast will be a buffet, but both lunch and dinner are 3 to 5 course meals. They focus on the very best of French cuisine mixed in with local specialities based on the region that you're sailing through. They have 2 key excursion types. They have the classic excursions and what's known as the discovery excursions. Now the classic tours are much more traditional river cruising style tours. They're very focused on arts, history and culture. Many of them are walking tours and will take you to see the must-see sites and attractions. For those of you who are perhaps more adventurous or perhaps have been to some of the places before, is the Discovery Tours. Now, these are designed to be much more active and to try some very different things. So, for example, they could involve biking tours or they could involve helicopter sightseeing. So as you can see, there's a lot to Crossy Europe. Huge amounts of choice, lots of destinations, different cruise types, lots of experiences. Food is inspired and driven by the roots of the company, which is in France. You're going to have a much more international onboard experience. Great choice of excursions, both classic and discovery excursions. If you're looking to go on a river cruise, take a look at Crossy Europe, because in addition to all of those things, you're likely to find it offers great value for money. Hopefully you found that helpful, and it's made Crossy Europe much less of a secret of river cruising and a river cruising company that you really want to travel with.